If you want okra that actually tastes good, you need to make sure that you harvest it on time. While you can still use larger pods to fry, I feel that okra tastes the best when it's young. And so I'm gonna walk you through my plants and show you when to pick your okra and give you a few ideas on how you can use it. Okay, so this is gonna give you a great visual of the growth of okra. So right here, it's just barely starting to form. It's too small. This is a couple days later, and it could be definitely harvested at this size. But then when it gets to be about this size, this is perfect. And this particular variety, it's emerald okra. It tends to be pretty long and skinny, but it's still tender even at this size. But then over here we have some Clemson spineless, and it's a little bit fatter, so it stays a little more compact, but it's a little bit larger around, and I wouldn't harvest it any larger than this. This is the biggest that I like this variety to be at. This one right here is actually perfect. I would say about 3 inches long. Harvest it at that size, but no larger. So I realized after watching that video back through that it's a little bit hard to figure out what the size of those pods actually are just by looking at them on the vine, because there's nothing to compare them to. So I laid them all out and put them next to a tape measure, and they are all within 2 to 4 inches long. And I think that's the ideal size for you to pick your okra for it to taste good. If you happen to pick it, after it's a little bit bigger, then I suggest frying it. It's still really good fried when it's a little bit larger. Not as good as when it's young, but it's still fine. Ideally, when they're young, I think they taste really good just sauteed in a pan with some butter and garlic salt. But I also love them pickled. It's one of my favorite pickled foods. And this year I'm really bummed because I planted all of these okra plants in hopes to get large batches of okra that I could water bath can and put on the shelf for later, and I am not getting very big harvests. The soil out there actually needs to be amended. I think that's the issue. We also had a cooler summer to start off with, so they were just slow growing. However, I have just been making quick pickles in the fridge, and it's super simple. To make your brine, it's just a cup of water, a cup of vinegar, a tablespoon of salt, and a tablespoon of sugar, and that makes about 1 to 2 pints. Sometimes I get 2 pints out of that, and sometimes I just get 1 pint. So that's your mixture, and you bring it to a boil, let everything dissolve, and then in the bottom of your jar, all you have to do is add your seasonings that you want. I do some peppercorns, red pepper flakes, and 2 garlic cloves, and then you stuff in your washed okra, and I usually do a sprig of dill, and then you pour over your brine, and you just put a lid on and put it in the fridge. And after a couple days, then they taste pretty good. The longer they sit, the better. And you just have to use them up in about 3 months or so. But at least I'm getting a few jars of pickled okra, but nothing compared to what I wanted. But the refrigerator pickles are super great because you can just throw it together in your kitchen. You don't have to use a water bath canner, and you don't have to have a huge harvest. You can just have one little jar full. And if you pick a few today and then a few more tomorrow, you can shove the extras in there. So that's a really good way to use up your okra. The other thing you could do when your pods get large is just leave them on the vine and save the seeds. And if you head to this video right here, I go into detail about saving your seeds, but if you want some seeds for next year, it's great to leave at least a few large pods on the plant so that you can save the seeds for next year. So head to that video next, and I'll see you there.